Hampi or Kishkinda in Karnataka is situated on the banks of river Tungabhadra, 340 km north of Bengaluru. With more than 1600 monuments covering 40 square kilometers, Hampi is a World Heritage Site and the world's largest open-air museum. Hampi, referred to as Kishkinda in Ramayana, has ancient history traceable to the thousands of years. Most of the current-day ruins were built by Vijayanagar kings during 1336 to 1565 CE. Hampi at one time was most prosperous and considered to be the largest city in the world. As per the chronicles of European and Persian travelers, Hampi had dedicated trading markets for diamonds, pearls, silks, brocades, and had opulent palaces, marvelous temples, royal quarters, embassies for foreign emissaries, massive fortifications, large pools, baths, water management system, aqueducts, pavilions, stables, riversides, features, pillared halls, mandapas, memorial structure, gateways, and defense checkposts. Hampi, it is a living museum. Virupaksha Temple. The temple is located on the south bank of the river Tungabhadra. This area in general has been an important pilgrimage center for the worshipper of Lord Shiva. Virupaksha Temple is equally sought after by the tourists and pilgrims. The annual festivals attract huge crowds of both the types. The very origin of Hampi's history as a sacred place revolves around the myths associated with this temple. It is believed that the temple has been functioning uninterruptedly ever since its inception in the 7th century AD. That makes this one the oldest functioning temple in India. You access the temple main entrance tower through the Chariot Street in front, now popularly called the Hampi Bazaar. The east-facing giant tower, Gopura, leads you the first courtyard of the temple complex. This pastel-painted 9-storied tower with a pair of cow horn-like projection on the top is the most prominent landmark in Hampi. The lower 2 tiers of the tower is made of decorative stonework. The main temple is east-facing and has 2 large courtyards. The most striking feature of this court is the central pillared hall known as the Ranga Mandapa, added to the temple complex in 1510 AD by Krishnadeva Raya. 2 mythical lion creatures forms the balustrade for the entrance to this elevated open pavilion. As you enter the pavilion, on your right is an inscribed plaque with Nandi image on top, probably explains the royal patronage the temple enjoyed. This hall with 5 aisles and 38 pillars is used for temple rituals, including the marriage ceremonies. The highlights include rows of pillars shaped with rampant lion-like mythical creatures, yalis, standing on aquatic creatures, muckers or crocodiles. Warriors seem riding on these ferocious-looking creatures. The mural panel on the central portion of the hall is one of the few remains of this form of Vijayanagar art. Most of it is based on godly themes except the one at the eastern end. Here the founder sage of the empire, Vidarnaya, is portrayed moving in a procession. Further west beyond a small inner hall is the Sanctum Sanctorum of Lord Virupaksha. The 2 4-armed guardian deities about 8 feet tall stand on either side of the entrance to the inner hall. The ceiling of the inner hall is decorated with an open lotus motif. The sanctum contains the idol of Lord Virupaksha in the form of a linga. Surrounding these principal shrines are the other shrines of Virupaksha consort and other deities. The most important of the sub-shrines are that of goddess Pampa and Bhuvneshwari. Consorts of Lord Shiva towards the north of the main shrine. These shrines are in fact much older than the rest of the grandiose structures and compound. Queen's Bath at Hampi. It is believed to be constructed by Achyuta Raya of royal family. It was a bathing chamber of the kings and his queens. Architecture of Bath is an elaborate structure with simple exterior and an ornate interior. It is a colossal bath that exemplifies the architectural excellence prevalent during the days of the Vijayanagar Empire. It is a rectangular building with an area of 30 square meters. A large sunken bath constructed in the center of the structure has an area of 15 square meters and a depth of 1.8 meters. The bath is surrounded by beautiful arched corridors having pillars and projecting ornate balconies. Each archway surrounding the bath is decorated with intricate carved stucco ornamentation on the ceilings and the walls. Placed above the arched base, there are the stone steps that lead down to the floor of the bath. However, there is no ceiling over the bath and it is open to the sky. King's Balance in Hampi is an ancient and rare balance scale. It is located to the southwest of the Vitthala Temple at the end of the Kampa Bhupapat. The rare balance scale is also known as Tula Bhara or Tula Purushadana. It attracts a lot of visitors due to its interesting history and its amazing structure that remains almost intact even today. The King's Balance was used in 15th century. It has a fascinating history associated to it. The story goes that the balance was used by the kings of the Vijayanagar Empire on special occasions like the New Year's Day, coronation ceremony, solar or lunar eclipse, Dashera, etc. The king used to weigh himself with gold, silver, gems, precious stones and jewelries and give away those things to the priest of the temples in charity. The interesting part is that as such an occasion approached, the royal kitchen used to prepare all the favorite dishes of the king. At the insistence of the city council, the king would be provided fatty food at all times and would be allowed to move as less as possible. This was done so that the king would gain a few extra kilos and there would be a little extra wealth to distribute to the priests. The scale was also used to weigh grains and pulses in that area. The architecture of King's Balance. The King's Balance Hampi is a massive frame carved in stone. The monument consists of two beautifully carved granite pillars with a height of 15 feet. The pillars support a heavy stone beam of about 12 feet. The hoops were used to hang the balance. One of the pillars has the image of the king and two queens carved on stone. The whole structure appears like an archway standing loftily. Though there is no trace of any balance today, the monument remains as an amazing example of the glorious days of the Vijayanagar Empire. Sugriv's cave is located a kilometer away from east end of Hampi Bazaar. A walk through the riverside along Kodada Rama temple towards Vijaya Vitthala temple takes us to Sugriv cave. Located on the river shore, this looks a naturally formed cave with huge boulders leaning over one another. Sugriv is said to have lived here for many years and Ram and Lakshmana met him here. Kishkinda or Hampi's unique boulder-strewn landscape has its own magnificence. Monolithic Bull is also known as Nandi. Nandi was created after centuries of worship of sage Shilada by Lord Shiva. Locals here say that it was Nandi who cursed the demon Ravan that his kingdom will be burned to ashes by the Vanara or the monkey clan. Monolithic Bull in Hampi represents Nandi, the mount of Lord Shiva, which is considered as the gatekeeper of Lord Shiva. Due to this, the Monolithic Bull is considered as a sacred and holy sculpture in Hampi. Also, many locals here say that the name Yuduru Basavana was regarded as a protector and guardian of Hampi. The sculpture of Monolithic Bull dates back to the time of Vijayanagar Empire. It is believed that one of the famous rulers of the Vijayanagar kingdom had constructed this impressive sculpture. According to the Hindu mythology, the Monolithic Bull or Nandi was born as a result of sheer devotion and penance shown by the sage Shilada towards Lord Indra, Sage Shilada wanted an immortal child, and none other than Lord Shiva could grant him that wish. So seeing this, Lord Indra had advised him to worship Lord Shiva. So as he started worshipping, his worship continued for centuries, and Shilada did not move an inch, and his condition worsened to an extent that the termites started eating up his body. So seeing this, Lord Shiva had appeared and out of his bones created Nandi, the immortal child, and restored the state of Shilada. Nandi then became the vehicle of Lord Shiva, and which such sacred status people started worshipping it. Also, some locals also narrate story that it was Nandi who cursed the demon Ravan that his kingdom will be burned to ashes by the Vanara or the Monkey clan. The sculpture has stood solidly amidst the trials of time and weather and the destruction initiated by the attackers, which led to the downfall of the Vijayanagara kingdom in 1565 AD. The monolithic bull has been carved out of a single giant boulder. It does not have the elaborate carvings found in most of the other sculptures of the Hampi, but is unique and has attraction of its own. The statue of the bull is placed on a sheltered and elevated platform that stands against a backdrop of huge boulders. Kodada Rama Temple is situated in Hampi in the Bellary district of Karnataka. The temple is one of the most famous monuments of Hampi. Situated in eastern part of the village, the Kodada Rama Temple stands more as a significant religious structure than as an architectural beauty. As the name indicates, the Kodada Rama Temple is dedicated to the Hindu deity Lord Rama. The inner sanctum of the temple has huge idols of Lord Rama, his brother Lakshman, and his wife Sita. The statues of the idols were carved out from a single natural boulder. The temple is situated near the river Tungabhadra. The holy bathing ghat of Chakratirtha is situated in the front of the temple. It is considered to be one of the most auspicious spots for pilgrimage by the Hindus. The historic temple is believed to mark the spot where Ram had crowned the king Sugriva. The belief gets credence from the fact that the temple has an idol of Sugriv bowing to Lord Ram. The Vitthala temple and market complex is over 3 kilometers northeast to the Virupaksha temple near the banks of Tungabhadra river. It is unclear when the temple complex was built and who built it. Most scholars date it to the period of construction in the early to mid 16th century. Some of the books mention that the construction began during the time of Devariya II and continued during the reign of Krishna Devariya Achyutaraya. And the temple opens to the east as a square plan and features an entrance gopuram with 2 side gopurams. The main temple stands in the middle of a paved courtyard and several subsidiary shrines all aligned to the east. The temple is a unified structure in a courtyard measuring 500 by 300 feet, which is surrounded by a triple row of pillars. It is a low structure of 1 story with an average height of 25 height. The temple has 3 distinct compartments: a Garbhagriha, Ardham Mandapa and Mahamandapa. The Vitthala temple has a Garud Shrine in the form of a stone chariot in the courtyard. It is an often pictured symbol of Hampi. Above the chariot is a tower which was removed during 1940s as per historian Dr. S. Shutter. In front of the stone chariot is a large square open pillared subaxial Sabha Mandapa or community hall. The mandapa has 4 sections, 2 of which are aligned with the temple sanctum. The mandapa has 56 carved stone beams on different diameters, shape, length and surface finish that produce musical sounds when struck. According to local traditional belief, this hall was used for public celebrations of music and dancing. Sasivekalu Ganesha Temple. According to Hindu mythology, Lord Ganesha is known for his love for food. Once Ganesha consumed a lot of food, due to which his stomach was on the verge of bursting. Finding no other option to stop his stomach from exploding, Ganesha caught hold of a snake and tied it around his stomach in order to prevent it from bursting open. This is the mythological incidents behind the existence of the snake tied around the Ganesha's stomach, which is visible on the statue. The inscription on the statue is as old as 1500 AD and says that this statue was erected In the memory of the King Narasimha II of the Vijayanagar Empire, this temple and the statue is indeed one of the finest specimen of Indian sculptures. The Ganesha is seen in a half lotus position with 4 arms. The right and left hand at the upper side holds a goat and a broken tusk. The top right hand of the statue holds a sweet modak. The left hand is portrayed with a noose. A large mandap is covering the statue at the top with a rough wall covering pillars around it. The archaeology department has installed a huge site map consisting of whereabouts of the place and history of the statue. Prasanna Virupaksha or underground Shiva Temple at Hampi is one of the oldest temples in Prasanna Virupaksha temple dates back to the 14th century. The temple is dedicated to Prasanna Virupaksha, an avatar of Lord Shiva. The temple stands amidst a beautiful lawn covered in green. The temple has remained buried for over 400 years before it was discovered in 1980s decade. It is believed that the Vijayanagar ruler Kishkinda had donated extensively to this temple. The location of the temple and its proximity to the nobleman quarter indicates that the temple might have been used by the members of the royal family of Vijayanagar for their private ceremonies. An interesting fact about Prasanna Virupaksha temple is that it is located a few meters below the ground level. The roof of the temple is at par with the present ground level, while the main structure of the temple stands on a low-lying area. The reason behind such a unique location for the construction of the temple is not known. Another thing to note is that the sanctum of the temple remains submerged under the stagnant water throughout the year during the monsoon season, extending from June to August. The water level rises inside the temple and submerges the floor of the Maha Mandapa and other mandapas. This restricts the entry of visitors to most part of the temple during the rainy season. The water inside the temple is considered to be sacred by the people of Hampi and the devotees of Lord Shiva. The elephant stables in Hampi is an impressive structure that was used to provide shelter for the royal elephants of the Vijayanagar Empire. The elephant stable is located in the area that lies just outside the Zanana enclosure. It is one of the very few structures that have not suffered extensive damage during the Mughal attack on Hampi that led to the downfall of the Vijayanagar Empire in 1565 AD. The ancient stable is a major attraction among the tourists even today. The synonym Hampi, traditionally known as Pampa Kshetra, Kishkinda Kshetra or Bhaskara Kshetra, is derived from Pampa, another name of goddess Parvati in Hindu theology. Shiv is also called Pampapati, meaning husband of Pampa. The river near the Hemakunta hill came to known as Pampa river. The Sanskrit word Pampa morphed into the Kannada word Hampa or Hampi.